what we're trying, I mean, what I kind of say in terms of climate, the solutions are political will. Copenhagen's going to be a real test of that, and for politicians to actually create laws that we can all operate by. And the other one is cultural shift. What I've just shown you is that the whole range of artistic activity, which is sort of beginning to happen globally, that if you can actually then keep working, then, it's kind of information that you inhabit. It's not somebody telling you an advertising thing that you consume and throw away as an idea. It's a bit like Amy's, the kind of, this kind of world resource kind of concept. It's actually something that becomes embedded in you. And if Ian McEwan writes a book, then you kind of take that information in, and it kind of drip feeds into your psyche, and you kind of go, wait a minute, we do have to move from this position to this position into actually a sustainable lifestyle. And for me, I think, it's a great challenge, but actually there are so many things to get a benefit from that. It is a positive message. It's going to be a very exciting time the next 20 years. And the amount of creative solutions that are going to be needed. So for the creative sector, it is such a big kind of something to get engaged with, but the access points, the kind of the realization of achieving something is quite remarkable. I'm just going to end this with a tiny little bit of film that I've been making. This is when I projected the hour-long film in Chicago. This is just one little snippet of it. All of the sound is done by this sound artist, Max Easley, and it all is sourced into the Arctic. And I think you're going to be listening to some bearded seals as part of this. And it's only about 3 minutes long. It's kind of obviously there's logic to the thinking that, that the baby that's in the pregnant woman's stomach by the time it grows up, then there probably won't be any ice at the North Pole because the ice is disappearing. So you have these two kind of time frames moving in an opposite direction. But mostly that kind of little bit of film and the work that I'm doing is trying to get this idea of emotional knowledge. I do think we still make most of our major decisions emotionally. We work rationally, we think we work rationally. but then, you know, all of our major commitments we usually make on an emotional basis. So actually it's making that sophisticated and using that kind of emotional power to actually tell a story and tell this story that, you know, wait a minute, we've got to rethink or re-engage with us and our planet, the way we live with the planet, I think is anyway, it's the direction I'm working in. And I kind of, I mean, in the way that sort of looks at that area. Cape Farewell, I mean, in a way we continue. I mean, as I said, I don't know if I said, but we're looking at the cloud forests of the Andes this year. We're going to walk from the top of the from the Andes all the way down to the headwaters of the Amazon basin. And then next year we're doing the Russian Arctic. There's again a music concert. So there's an awful lot of activity. Again, reliant on the kind of people that are shown here. And as I said, you know, over 70 artists have engaged in the program. It's an amazing viral force. They're all out there kind of operating. They talk about Cape Farewell, they talk about what they're doing, what they're thinking about. So it's actually quite a movement that's going forward. And Rising Tide, I think, is just another extension of maybe this cultural shift that's beginning to happen. And it's very, very exciting. At least I think so. Okay, thank you very much. Can we have some light on the audience? I mean, there don't have to be any questions, but if anybody has any questions, then I'm very happy to engage with them. And thankfully you're still there.
How many years did you say it would be until there would be no sun in your area?
To no ice at the North Pole in the summer months.
Yeah.
It's the scientists now, the modelers are basically saying in the year, between the year 2020, 2030. The oceanographers, Simon and I, who've been up there many times, think that might be optimistic. It could come much quicker. But nobody knows. I mean, you know, you're dealing with something that, you know, I mean, what is extraordinary is that, you know, when the very first graph I showed you, where you have these incredibly warm periods going down into you know, a kind of glacial southern situation, the Ice Age, then the transition from the warm period to the Ice Age, they now think could probably happen in 30, 40 years. So the stability that we rely on, you know, this kind of base stability can really, really shift very, very quickly and is not a guarantee. Yeah? Right. Right. Did everybody get the question? It's basically looking at the funding and then the science and collaboration. You actually be very, very surprised that these expeditions are remarkably inexpensive. The people who own the boat cut us a great deal. Everybody, you know, we get people up there very cheaply. The artists, you know, the amount of money per expedition is very, very small in terms of real sense. Saying that, Cape Farewell, you know, we operate on, I think, about a £500,000 budget per year, which is all of our activity, which has to be funded. So we get money from the biggest funder, or the most consistent funder, is the Arts Council of Great Britain, which is the National Endowment, or used to be the National Endowment here. You know, it's a really important stream of funding for us because it means that we have the freedom to actually explore. I mean, we write a contract with them, but they really embrace what we're doing. And the British government are very excited. I mean, you know, we get great messages from the government, so they're very excited by what we're doing and using the cultural sector to work for this. So they put pressure on the Arts Council, so that, you know, the whole thing works in that kind of circle. We work with the British Council a lot in terms of delivery message, and that is in a way the political end of the cultural end of the Foreign Office. So they work with us, and we then work with an enormous amount of partnerships with other major organizations. Scientific funding, we actually got scientific funding from NERC, which is the National Scientist Research Council, funding body in the UK, so they actually gave us some money to do the research on the science. But scientists are scrabbling around for money as much as artists are. You know, it's really difficult for them to get funding as well.